GM fam, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Avatar, doing another special Metaverse Spotlight edition of the show. So, we're going to be doing a deep dive into another project that's building inside the Metaverse called Sandrush. And we've had them on the show before. So, if you guys want to get a little recap, deeper dive into some of the things that we talked about before, you can go catch that replay over on YouTube. If you're watching the replay here on YouTube, it'll be easy to find. If not, go to YouTube and then search Crafter. You'll find my page, and then everything will be there. There's a whole playlist with all the episodes on it. But yeah, let's dive on into it. Welcome, guys. I have with me, and I'm gonna butcher your name. How do you say it? Just introduce yourself for me. I can easily say Pepe, but I just butcher your name every time I try and say it. So help me out.
So my real name is Chris. My handle here is named after the Egyptian Book of the Dead.
Okay.
Except it's the Necrobomb icon. So usually it's just Necrobomicon.
Necrobomicon. All right. Or Chris. Yeah. I think I'll do better with Chris.
I go by many names. But yeah, thanks for having us. Super excited to be here and have a chance to like chat with you again. Last time we really enjoyed ourselves, and I think this is like a really cool space to just chat and learn about other projects and give ourselves a chance to show people what we've been up to, because a lot of what Sandrush does is behind the scenes. We're not good at like bragging about stuff or showing people what we've been working on, because we're too busy with our hammer and nails building away.
Yeah, but you guys are building some super cool stuff. I was scrolling through your guys' website. Link will be in the bio if you're catching the replay. Cool. and I love all of the detail is what really sticks out to me with everything that you guys build, and I think that's obviously something that you guys have worked hard on. But yeah, it's super cool to just kind of scroll through and look at all of that fun stuff.
And like I think last time we were here, we talked a little bit about like our processes in our studios, but since then I think Pepe and I really have fine-tuned our vision, and we want to like tell the world about these cool things that we have coming out, and really what we're doing here. And you can see our title is Empowering Builders and Developers. So prior, we were sort of just functioning as a studio, picking up projects here and there, but really, in our heart of hearts, we see ourselves more as servants to this community, and we imagine being in a position where we can help other artists and other people build cool stuff like that. So now that the Creator Fund is closed, we have an opportunity to take the styles and the things like that, and I consider the people that were in the Creator Fund have just finished round one, and we want to like bring these people in and really help them become professionals. And in the long run, if everybody can build like this, just imagine what we can do, right?
Seriously,
we can't allow the metaverse to be boring. If it's boring, then you can imagine, well, no one's interested. So the first level of overcoming that is visual simulation. So we'll be reviewing some tools that we've really been keeping to ourselves and using for our own internal purposes, that we've really come to realize the higher calling is to offer these to more than us, because these tools extend beyond us. So we've kind of gotten ourselves into this little market here. So this is where we fit in, right? We've got our toolkit. We're going to go into some more detail about that. Our knowledge base. This is going to come into play a little bit when we talk about our public Discord. Our tool support, our community, texturing. Until recently, our texturing processes have been unmatched, but we have now methods that that we can enable other people to get this type of quality are asset collections. Just a quick tip on that, like we've seen a lot of studios that are having to build the same thing: a patch of grass, a tree, a rock. Well, we want to be able to just offer all of this stuff to people so that they don't have to spend time and effort going through and building the same things over and over. Sandbox does not need 50 different patches of grass.
Right.
So, we want to enable this. Block sets and collections. Blocks are highly underrated, and also some really cool and interesting animation tools that really bring things to the next level for people. So, we've gone beyond our walls here and reached out to the sandbox to help enable these things for a larger market. Pepe, do you want to talk a little bit about the initial toolkit?
Yay! Hey, yeah, thanks for having us.
Heck yeah.
Super excited, and thanks for the intro, Chris. Yeah, we truly think this is the way forward. I mean, as Chris said, these tools that you see here or we introduce here briefly, they're so crucial already to our production processes. So it's for us, it doesn't make sense to keep them. It's really about enabling everybody out there that is also acting in the ecosystem of the sandbox with all these little helpers and tools, because yeah, we think it will make a difference, as Chris said. So yeah, the four pillars that we cover kind of is right now an animation converter. This is already worked on by the Sandbox team, by the VoxEdit team into further how to say further state and will be developed natively by them.
Nice.
Then we are texturing, as you also already mentioned, Crafter. We go for high resolution texturing. I mean, this was always our initial aim, and yeah, we started to perfectionize all this type of work. And one super exciting type of how do you say tool, it's kind of a tool suite already, is our option to work non-destructive on minimaps and parse them over to full deployed lands through our tools. And then yeah, the collections. For me, it's one by my heart. I think we need these vast. I mean, you said it. What did you said? We don't need 50, but maybe we need hundreds of grass patches. But we want them have it consistent. We want to have them bundled. We really want to, yeah, bring the most out of the grass environment in this occasion here. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. So, essentially, our route here is we're going to be providing tools and resources for other studios and sandbox creators, and even individuals, anybody that wants to operate in this space. We really would like to enable them and empower them to work at a degree that they find acceptable. Um, and so we cover the spectrum, and eventually we'll branch out into other areas. As mentioned earlier, we even do a community now.
Can I
So
just
yeah,
inject here
yeah.
real quick? Who is behind the original kind of style and like texturing that you guys really have embraced? Like, was that a collaborative effort, or is there someone on the team that is kind of forefronting that? Because I just want to give props to to whoever has been doing that, because it's amazing what you guys have been doing. And yeah.
I can answer this. So Essentially, it's certainly a collaborative effort.
Okay.
It's a collection of creative minds thinking and troubleshooting what is the best way to enable these high quality textures onto voxel assets, which typically you don't get this type of quality out of voxel.
Right.
So, and if you do, it's extremely time intensive and it doesn't make sense to try to do this. So, to work around this, we've developed a pipeline. And this pipeline is what took many people to put together and a lot of troubleshooting. We still, I do consider ourselves students. We still
Hmm.
on a daily basis are creating and coming up with new methods and things like that. Um, Currently, the pipeline for texturing is a little bit extensive. So you'll see
Okay.
here that
Yeah.
one of our goals is to help streamline that process down the road. But we've got some cool little snippets in here that you can see. We've really taken what would normally cost a month's worth of work and reduced this down to less than an hour.
Damn.
So, and in some cases, maybe like a day's worth, depending on what it is. But
Still, that's a lot less than a
really
month.
it's made a huge difference in our pipeline and things that we didn't think we would be able to do. We are now knocking out in less than a week. So we want to bring these tools to everybody so that we can all operate like this. And I think it's important for the future of the metaverse to enable these types of things for people.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and also the
Yeah.
style. I mean, you asked about the style. I think it comes from multiple directions. As Chris said, we have multiple team members that are working now on this workflow, and it's not always generated or it's always for us a mix of still a lot of love to the detail, kind of hand painted,
Mhm.
but we enhance the base layer usually with generative texturing. For us, this gives us, especially in these natural environments where we build a lot, this gives us the best outcome in our opinion. And yeah, it's a combination, and we also needed to train, for example, our team themselves on enabling them by this workflow. And so it's super excited to learn along the way with them again, and
Yeah,
just
totally. That's
a journey,
yeah,
along the
definitely.
way.
It has been a journey, and it's just getting started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we think so too. And I think Pepe and I are both the kind of person that we're really, our story is about the journey and not the destination.
Right.
And it really helps us see things from the perspective of others.
I mean,
Of course, we do have our own goals and stuff, but we want to bring everybody to the top with us.
hell yeah, and that's what I love about Web3 and specifically the metaverse. It seems like builders in the metaverse are very collaborative and wanting to help each other out and lift each other up, and I think that's refreshing coming from a not so Web3 mentality previously. So it's nice to be here, and it's awesome to have people like you that are really kind of forefronting the innovation and then willing to share all of the crazy cool things that you guys have been coming up with. So props to you.
It was kind of hard for us to come off it at first, but then
I bet.
it really is. We are doing a disservice to everyone by not propagating these ideas and these techniques, because it gives an incredible result. And I also believe that all of these things are within reach of every person listening, and whoever's involved in this industry. We can make these things happen with a little bit of patience and learning. um, Powerful things can be unlocked, like this animation application here, for example. This allows us to, this was generated out of necessity for our workflow, our one of our initial plans was be, we want to have a custom avatar. How are we going to build 200 animations for it
Hmm.
without going broke?
Right.
And then all of these animations actually already exist. So what do we need to do to take those and put them onto our own avatar without having to redo everything? So we've come up with a smart solution on how to do this, and our main guy Lloyd here is our developer. Worked hand in hand with us and kind of guided us and opened our eyes to some new possibilities. So this allows us to, for example, take a character rig in Maya that you can see here and animate it, and then convert that over to a TSB compatible file. But it doesn't stop there. That's just the beginning. It can also, for example, many animators are familiar with a Maximo site where
Okay.
you can pick out an animation sequence that's already been processed, really decent, solid, fluid animations. These are presented by Adobe, and you can grab a series of animations that you like from there, pop them into our converter, and it spits out a TSB compatible file. So now any creator using this tool is able to unlock access to any existing animation. So it doesn't have to work just for humans. This will work for bipeds. It will work for quadrupeds. Anything that has a rig, it can be converted and moved over to a sandbox compatible file. And even including, you can see here on the right, these cool little sort of procedural script-based, physics motion-based animations.
Yeah.
It will do these as well. So it can do fluids, it could do particles, it could do all of the things that you want to do and that people have been attempted to do by hand. This does all of it for you in the amount of time it takes you to do a Google search and click a few buttons. So,
That's crazy. It does sorry,
hmm?
I'm not very familiar
Oh,
with
do it.
I'm not super familiar with like animations, but um so like if you were to search for an animation and you found one that you liked, then this is awesome. It would it would have to be like a human animation or I guess I'm just lost on how
Yeah, sure.
animations even work. So maybe I'm maybe I'm too dumb for this conversation, but but I'm super intrigued because I've always been intimidated by the animation side of things, and this is super exciting for me.
Yeah, animation takes a lot of patience to do it properly. And there's like tons of documentation on the best procedures. I mean, animation has been around since photography, basically,
Hmm.
to some extent. With and there are techniques, but all since libraries of these animations already exist, it's
Why
powerful to be able to just use those. So,
right? Why
but what you don't
reinvent
want to
the
do,
wheel?
right? Exactly. You don't want to take like an animation for a cat and like put it onto a human because it won't deform properly, and a human doesn't have a tail, so like it doesn't know what to do with some of the information. Now I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying maybe it's not a great idea. And it would take a little bit of extra work. But the way that it essentially works, can you see down here at the bottom how many keyframes this is generated?
I was gonna say I've never seen that many keyframes inside of an animation screen, and
Yeah, this gives it like super accurate to to the T. This can be reduced if we want, and we could use fill-ins for some of these.
does
In
that
this case here, it's the motion capture actually that
does this make, because there's so many keyframes, does that do anything as far as like performance goes in a game, or is that pretty negligible?
And basically, keyframes are literally just calculating the distance between nodes. So, for example, it might calculate the distance between my wrist and my shoulder. And all of this is done by the processor and not the graphics card.
Okay.
And one of the things that processors can do is math. and it can do it
Gotcha.
very, very fast. So I would say the impact is negligible. Is there a zero impact? I doubt it. I mean, clearly there's a lot of math that it has to do here. Uh,
Sure. But
so and there's floating points, and that nothing is an exact number. So it does probably get into some irrational calculations at some point. So the possibility that everything could just fold on itself, but we haven't experienced this yet, thankfully.
that's awesome though.
Well, and going hand in hand with this, just to further explain this situation, we've got this cool video of Sebastian dancing, and we were able to just pull the movements using motion capture and apply this to an avatar. We're not the first studio to do this. This actually isn't even the intention of our tool. It's a byproduct of it, the ability to create motion capture. So we'll probably leverage some of this type of stuff in the future. You can imagine how cool it is if you're like, hey, I want to, film myself doing a front flip or whatever, and
Yeah.
then your avatar can do this within just a few seconds.
Well, yeah, that's insane because I mean, my head immediately goes to, and I have no idea where technology is nowadays with like this kind of stuff, but I think of I watched like the like I think it was Lord, yeah, it had to have been Lord of the Rings, like inside view of like how they made it or whatever, and they were showing how they did Gollum, and and like they wear like a suit with like all kinds of like green like knot nodes all over him or whatever, and now you can just do it in your normal clothes with a video camera and get like the same results. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's completely nuts, man. And another interesting thing is that this method actually works better
Really?
than these things. Imagine you are tracking a node on your wrist. Well, there's a possibility that if your wrist passes across your hip, that it gets those nodes confused.
Mm.
And so now what ends up happening is your hips are now moving like your wrist should, and your rig will deform and create chaos. So then they had to redo the animation. But these skills that they were, or these types of methods that they were using in the Lord of the Rings, I know the behind the scenes you're referring to. They did a lot with motion capture and facial movements too, which is really helpful for an actor to express mood properly. Kind of like what we were talking about before the show starts, right?
Right.
Like those little nuances that humans have really tell a story.
Definitely.
And so the motion capture gives a new level to and a new life to these animations. It's something that you can't just download from Adobe, So there's something to be said about that, but it also opens up the doors for people to just make like, oh, here's an animation of me walking. Maybe we don't need that. If that's already done, dump that in there so everybody already has a walk animation.
Right.
And then we're not having to get a special person to do a walk cycle. Now if you want a zombie walk sequence, well, now we're onto something.
Yeah.
So it's more designed for these types of things. It really is kind of interesting to when you get into how it works. But we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So, Pepe, do you want to pick up and give a little chat about our texturing and such here?
Yeah, sure. On it. So besides animation, we, as before already mentioned, we aim for high resolution texturing. Not always. I mean, we still like the TSP style, and it makes a lot of sense that things are kind of reduced at a, I would say, already or almost a bit comic or just edge highlighting and all that stuff that we are really used to from the normal style that we get usually. But yeah, we always aimed for a bit more. and it's a balancing act. I mean, you can't just throw anything at a voxel model and think it will look good, especially if you work with voxels, you work with on the surface, then you kind of work with pixels in a way or another.
Right.
So it needs to be really well balanced so that it doesn't look noisy and pixelated, but still defining really the characteristic, as you can see here on the screenshot. For example, this overgrown type of stone. This is really where we worked a lot, and as Chris already mentioned, there's a lot of back and forth, trying to dial in the perfect settings, and then on top, really make the finishing touches. I mean, there's always labor involved. So yeah, but with the tool that we have at hand, as you see, it's kind of a process from OBJ to Vox, and OBJ we really can work with, especially in to make these high resolution texturing maps, texture maps. And yeah, there's of course more possible here. We're already exploring the frontiers, but I think it's all about what I mentioned earlier, this consistency. It kind of gives this natural feel and look through all the experience if you embrace this style, kind of. And yeah, it's really, even for me. I mean, I'm not coming from game design or asset design at all, but it was super excited to explore all that and figuring out what is possible here together with the team. And yeah, it's really exciting tool to work personally with it.
Definitely. I
As
mean, it's
yeah.
it's crazy impressive. Like I imagine, like how big is the asset that we're looking at right now with the moss growing on it? Like it has to be pretty big, right?
Yeah, it's about, I would say in game it's 6 or even 8 meters, something. So 8 blocks height or
Sure.
whatever we
But
call it.
still,
Yeah.
like the the amount of detail on that is crazy. Like I've never seen anything like that done with voxels outside of what you guys do. And to think that you've figured out a way to leverage a tool to help do that so that you can do that across the entire map and not have to take, I don't even know how long it would take if you had to do everything by
Matte
hand.
painted.
Like I'm
Yeah.
sure it would. I
We
mean,
are
if
like
it was me, it would take me a couple of years probably to do a one by one with that much detail. But either way, like it blows my mind. And this is what's going to, in my opinion, really take the metaverse to another level as far as the experience for players goes, because it's really gonna um, go from the Minecrafty kind of feel to a really immersive experience that is still buildable like Minecraft is, and open for people that don't have the experience with Blender and stuff like that, to, or Unity or whatever. All the I'm just throwing out words that I kind of know, but like I know how easy it is to pick up building inside of the sandbox. Obviously there's levels to it, but being able to come up with a tool that allows people to do stuff similar to this, like I don't know how this tool works yet, but it seems like we're on the way to really having multiple different super cool immersive experiences come out that I don't think would happen without a tool like this. So super cool and excited to hear more.
It comes with its own weird limitations that we've had to some challenges overcoming, but they're not like really what I expected they would be. For example, one challenge is each asset part can only have 256 colors. and
Okay.
and so at first we're like, oh wow, we might want something with like 2,000 colors.
Uh-huh.
That how do we do this, and what do we do that? But then the more we refine this technique, we discover we don't even need 255 or 256 colors or whatever is available to us. We can get a really good, solid, excellent, high resolution texture with 16 colors, for example.
Sure.
So by like figuring all this out, when these models are created, all of them have a full color palette. All right. So if I wanted to have this wall piece here and maybe like a fountain in the same scene, then I'm going to exceed by 250 colors, and then the colors start to overlap, and it doesn't give you the result that you want. So in addition to figuring out all this, we've also come up with methods of reducing the color palette in a logical way so that many assets can take advantage of this technology. So there's been some pitfalls that we've had to figure out. Right now, our current project is applying this type of thing to a super complicated asset. For example, we have artists that will give us a, a model with 300 nodes.
Sure.
Well, our current technique here would require us to texture every single one of those parts individually,
Uh-huh.
and clearly that kind of puts us back into the situation where it's not streamlined anymore. So we've got processes in place that we're slowly starting to refine. This is how it currently works. So the initial asset, typically I build in Magic Voxel,
Okay.
because I'm looking to do a simplified one part of, a wall part, for example. This isn't, like I was saying, this isn't great for a character. So we build a wall part. It's one piece. From there, we export this from Magic Voxel. We create an OBJ file, an object file, and that gets imported into Adobe Substance Painter. And then there we apply a 2K or a 4K texture map, which seems insane, right? Because clearly this high resolution texture map isn't going to fit on this model. Every voxel is approximately the size of 1 inch, but it also is 1 pixel. So if we've got over 4,000 pixels, it's just not going to fit on the model. So this is what we do. Once we've gotten that texture map so that we're happy with it, we can export this, and that gives us, the 4K or 2K color diffusion map. Well, our trick is this really cool software that takes that diffusion map, the color map, and wraps it into a voxel file. So it also converts the OBJ back into a voxel. So it kind of does a few different things in the background, and it does this instantly. So once we have gotten the texture to where we're happy, export, load it into our custom software, click a button, boom, it kicks out a high resolution, super detailed voxel model like this. So this process, depending on your experience, when I first started this, it would take me a whole day to do one model. Yesterday I did 20.
Dang.
So yeah, and so once you get used to it, it's pretty technical, but there's no reason why I couldn't do 200, other than the fact that there's too many steps in our workflow. So you can see on our research roadmap here, one of our goals is to eliminate the use of a third-party program like Substance Painter and build our own, so that we can procedurally generate these cool, super high quality texture maps directly onto voxel. And then that process will drastically streamline this. We're a ways out on this. We need more resources, but this is certainly in our sights.
Sure.
And we want to unlock this for everybody. And then once this is unlocked, you can imagine how cool this is going to be in the future.
Yeah, it'll be nuts. But that's, I mean, you're working towards that, so that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. We try to make
always.
little baby steps, and but every baby step is still a step. It's a step in a direction, and the steps are more meaningful when we know where we're going.
Exactly. Yeah.
uh, Pepe, do you want to tell them about this incredible terraforming process?
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, it's one of our larger tools, kind of, I would say, more comprehensive one, and that gets expanded and extended all the time right now. But basically, what you see here is we work for production, and especially in early, let's say, even already in pre-production phase of a project, we work heavily on models, on kind of scale models or mini maps, we call them. So we love to fire up once again our favorite voxel editor and build kind of really bare bone the land masses, the start finding path, so that we can enable path finding in the early versions already, blocking out volumes, bring in the spatial awareness of where is what located on a map, on a level, and all that type of stuff really in a. And so this is for us as creators, it's super exciting. It's non-destructible, so we kind of can change, iterate, overload or reload, and having much more flexibility in this mini map that we built than we would have right now, at least in the game maker, in the sandbox game maker. And yeah, once we are in there and having this mini map, we then kind of have still always the option now with our tool, our terraforming tool. We call it Magic Palette right now. It's possible to convert this voxel file into a full deployed land where all the blocks get their kind of the block types gets assigned by the color palette that we did choose in the minimap. And yeah, this allows us super fast swapping complete landscapes. I mean, you see it on the right side in these small samples. So we can swap seams immediately, kind of.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see. I
exactly.
see.
So we go from super lush and jungle style into dark lava mode within basically just swapping out the colors and the blocks that are assigned to these voxels, and yeah, can upload then a new version of the lands that we already built.
And until the development of this, what a studio would do is it always makes sense to build a mini map. So that way you can get a good feel for the layout, you can get a vibe, you can find out if there's going to be tunnels, you can do all the basic level design on a mini map. But then what the developer would end up having to do is to go into Game Maker and place each of these blocks one by one.
Mm-hmm.
And by creating an application that allows us to move a voxel file and convert it into a land file, we save. You can imagine how long, right? Like if I were to try to build this block for block in Game Maker, I don't even know if I would be able to do it without going completely insane.
Right.
And so what it does is it allows us to also make huge changes. So for example, if I wanted to move this tree, that whole tree there, if I wanted to move it over 10 blocks, that would be very annoying to do in Game Maker. Now I can just select this tree, slide it over, and I'm done.
Uh-huh.
So being able to quickly mass prototype this type of land is a huge thing for us, and I'm sure other studios are going to be super happy when this is available to them. The other cool thing that Pepe is mentioning, just to reiterate, is you see this lava theme. Um, we can take this same experience, swap out to a different magic palette, to a lava theme, and apply it, and our whole land now becomes lava themed in the click of a button. So
Which is
if I
nuts.
have, so let's say you decide you want to build a land and you use the Sand Rush block kit. All of those are going to be compatible. So maybe winter gets here and you say, hey, I want to retheme my land. I want to reskin everything so it's Christmas themed. You
Uh-huh.
can do this. The palette's available. You grab the palette from us or whatever. Each color has its own block. Boom. Now you have a winter theme and everything is still in the same place. All the assets are not affected with this. So if someone has gone through and added a bunch of quests,
Like
and
logic and everything will stay intact.
yep,
Yeah.
all the logic. The only thing this does is it swaps out block.
Crazy.
So that allows you to have non-destructive, and instead of copying over your existing file, we go boop and it creates a whole new land file, and you can just swap between them. That way you don't lose any information if something gets messed up along the way. Everybody makes mistakes. So it's also because of the nature of how it works, it's got built-in safety mechanisms to prevent you from losing months or years worth of work.
Yeah.
Here, our ultimate goal, or one of our goals here, is in our perspective, is all of these lands, right? Think about all the lands that TSB has that are owned by investors.
A lot.
They're not going to go in and build something like this. They're
Right.
just not going to be able to do it. So, but would they be more engaged if they could open up a program, click a button, and automatically generate a terrain for themselves? Yeah, people are much more
100%.
likely to do that.
Yeah.
So coming hand in hand with this, we will be building a terrain generator that will allow you to build dungeons and villages and maps. And, of course, first it starts off with, hey, here's a hill with a lake,
Yeah.
but then over time, and once these are generated, it's already built with the Sand Rush blocks. So now you can theme it to any season that you want, and you can see where this goes.
Yeah, definitely. And so I got like 3 different things on my mind, but I want to circle back to the mini map. So you're building these mini maps in Magic of Voxel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah, but yeah, any
but any
editor
voxel
is
editor would
suitable.
work, obviously.
Yeah.
So is that pretty it sounds from what you guys are saying that's pretty common for a studio to do, is to like prototype that way. I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around. So the mini map, like what's the aspect ratio? Would that be the right word? Like how?
The scale is
Yeah, the
one
scale.
voxel is 1 to 32. So every voxel on here would be equivalent to 1 TSB block. So a land size, for example, is going to be 96 meters by 96 meters by 128 tall.
Uh-huh.
So that's the size of our voxel file. 96 by 96 by 128 tall. And that way we get kind of a 1 to 32 ratio. It's kind of 1 to 1 a little bit, like 1 voxel equals 1 block.
Uh-huh.
Right? So it's just a scaled down version. And then it takes like a little grass block, for example. And then when it converts to a land, it's a full 32 by 32 voxel block.
Why is it easier to build in something like Magic of Voxel than Game Maker?
With Magic of Voxel, we could use something called shaders. And
Okay.
a shader, I don't know if you can see it real close, but you see all the variation we have in our grass texture?
Kind of, but I understand what it
Yeah,
would be.
yeah,
Oh, you can
yeah.
see it.
It's
You
just
can see it better over on the right a little bit, I think.
okay.
Yeah, on the
The
cliff
bigger
sides.
the bigger picture. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that we can use for example, we can use a random function. We can say, okay, we have 8 grass blocks. Let's take this area and randomize it. So now we have a huge variety of grass blocks in that area. Now, if I want
Okay.
to do that by hand, I, I
I
don't
know
want I
how
don't want to do it by
painstaking that
hand.
is. I've done that.
Yeah, yeah, and so it gives it a more organic feel, and it allows us to process things much faster and to like a higher degree. And, we're at the beginning of our presentation. We're mentioning blocks are highly underestimated. That's because maybe they haven't been used properly.
Right.
You know, so by having a tool like this, instead of saying, okay, well, we have dirt, let's have one dirt block, and everything that's dirt is this same brown color. Well, we can in our case we could say, all right, well, we want the dirt to be darker at the bottom of the level, and to as it goes up taller, we want the dirt to lighten up, and you'll see a more completed version of this land here a few slides from now.
Okay.
You can see what it looks like when it's been converted, and how it looks when we've started to add some assets and such to it.
Heck yeah.
And a really
Well,
big, I think, thing that helps us a lot, and I think, Chris, you mentioned it already, you can move things fast. I mean, you
mm-hmm.
need to imagine, for example, the floating island on the right side, and Chris said it with the tree. At the early stages, you need to move things
Uh-huh.
so often.
That does make a
And
lot of
if you
sense.
would have in GameMaker this floating island built, but now it's kind of wrong positioned, or
Yeah,
it
you're like, oh shit,
drops.
it needs to be 5 over that way.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
and
gonna
then
take you an
what you
hour.
do, you just tear down and build up again, and especially with the shader on top of it. I mean, it's just not, yeah, it's not feasible, and it makes this iteration process, and this is why we call it also non-destructive. I mean, you kind of always can work in the minimap super freely, and directly check in game afterwards. Does this work? Do the heights work? How is pathfinding and all that stuff? And yeah, it just helps a lot in the early processes of developing a level or a full-fledged game. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I would be curious to see somebody's workflow from building out a mini map, because I've never done anything like that in a program like Magic of Voxel, but it makes sense why it would work. I just don't even know, like I can't wrap my head around where I would start, but I'm sure there's probably plenty of YouTube videos out there already. But yeah, that it's cool. It's opening my eyes to other options other than beating my head against the wall with Game Maker.
Yeah, we're super happy to have this tool available. But now that I know this can be done, and I have like gone back through Game Maker, just like play around, and I can't do it, because I know I can do this the same thing in much less time and
Uh-huh.
way more detailed in a third party software, and then really get the full advantage of what Game Maker can offer, instead of being limited by how fast I can click.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I would, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like the process of building the mini map is probably similar to doing it in Game Maker. You just have extra like tools and capabilities that like being able to select and move things over and things like
Mhm.
that are added to your tool belt when you're using a different program, and that's why doing it this way is so much more beneficial.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep. It's just a
absolutely.
voxel file, and so
Mm.
all the voxel tools are available.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
could
yeah.
potentially even build this in VoxEdit, but I don't know if that's the best result, because you're going to end up exporting over to Magic of Voxel anyway.
Sure, because you needed to get
The
it in the.
downside
Oh,
is it doesn't allow angles. Like like I can rotate something to 90 degrees, but it's still limited to some extent. So anything angular or that isn't a block shaped, that has to be sort of compensated for with assets.
gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
Uh, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can move on. I could go on for days probably about that,
There's a lot.
but yeah, that's super cool.
Cool. Pepe, want to get started on kit bashing? I know this is like true to your heart.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I just remember again one of my super early comments, almost I guess 3 years ago, in the early days of Sandbox, where we just a handful of people in the Discord, the official Sandbox Discord, with the first creators dropping in, and yeah, super exciting times. And I was always asking for how does it how will marketplace kind of fit to a game designer or needs that really wants to build consistent levels with sets, or let's call them bundles or whatever,
Hmm.
of assets that really go hand in hand and enable full-fledged builds in one style. Of course, we have our style. That's fine, but it doesn't need to be our style. I'm just saying. I'm I'm a sucker for sets
Sure.
and bundles, and I think they're super helpful once you have laid the foundation with our previous tool. It's just the base layer. I mean, we did talk about blocks, and blocks is a big one, and maybe Chris can tap into this afterwards. But of course, also the assets. We need tons of assets on top of this landscape or terraformed landscape, because just the bare bone kind of Minecraft. I mean, we know how it looks. It's just not there. We need all these assets, and if they are kind of bundled for the designer, they enable so much creativity, in my opinion, or freedom to build if they are not fully prefab, kind of. I mean, we do prefab models. Usually, when it comes to large scale, really detailed stuff, but a lot of our builds and also especially in environment is done with for example, we have a scaffolding set where we have wooden scaffolding elements or structures, let's call them. Maybe sometimes it's just a beam, or it's a rope, or it's multiple things already tied together to a first deck type of thing. But all these are super modular. You can throw them together. This is why the term kit bashing. You throw them together in game or in game maker in our case here, and build really versatile and diverse structures out of it, just out of a few parts already.
Yeah, I mean what you're saying with the like having these kits and sets and stuff, I just like that my head always goes to I can't fucking wait because I I like building stuff in Vox Edit sometimes. I do really like building like avatars in Vox Edit, but that's about to the extent that I like using Vox Edit. Once I get into like building assets and stuff that I want to put in a game, it drives me nuts because it just had to keep building new things. But like if I was given a bundle or a set of a bunch of different assets that fit the theme that I was trying to build inside of the game maker, I could go wild and spend. I would spend hours. It's like playing a video game for me, but like just designing a level with all the details and different pieces. So I can't wait.
Well, we
Cool.
think the pipeline of how it works right now limits the. And I'm trying to come from a sales point of view, but it limits the market really because a lot of people have the same perspective you have, and even I do. I don't want to have to build a whole collection of things just for one experience, and then now I have all these assets that were only used once,
Right.
and what do I do now? I just spent 3 months of my life building a kit, and now they belong in one environment, and I can't use them again. So really, this enables it opens it up to all ages too. I think of my daughter in this
Sure.
situation, right? Like she wants to be a builder or whatever, but does she want to go in and build 400 assets? No,
No.
no way. I mean, she's just no one wants to do that. That's what these our studios like us are for, to get these out there so that other people can use them. And Pepe and I have found that sort of like these studios are just keeping stuff for themselves, and it's just causing other people. It's preventing other people from joining the space.
Right.
In a way I get it, right? Like this is our material, we want it, but it's difficult to let go of that and to accept that maybe there's something bigger that can happen with the stuff that we build, and we don't even know the extent of what might be unlocked if we offer someone, for example, a dungeon kit, right?
Right.
Like this can generate hundreds of games now
Yeah, it doesn't
instead
have
of
to
just
just
the
be
one that we
one.
would use it for.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
Are the
So
are these so what is so kit bash? Is that what does that term mean? I'm still trying to wrap my head. Like
I
is that the
think I saw.
collection?
Here we go. Here we go. Then maybe this will help bring some clarity. So this is the lit. Remember that mini map?
Yeah, yeah.
This is what the mini map has evolved into.
Holy
So
shit.
this building here in the middle. This is kit bash together, right? So the
Okay, I see what
building
you're
wasn't
saying.
it wasn't a building. It was like 5 buildings that we just smash them together, and we move them around. We add parts to them. So a
This is
kit
my
bash is
favorite
basically,
thing to do. Okay, I
yeah,
love the term
yeah,
kit bash now. I kit bash all the
yeah,
time with with
yeah,
random assets that I
yeah,
have.
yeah. A lot of people do this, and it really is the way to get really cool, interesting environments. Otherwise, everybody's stuck in a grid.
Uh-huh.
You know. So you can see here the scaffolding set that Pepe was mentioning as
Yep.
well. So we have 20 scaffolding pieces, and this gives us so many options. So many options.
Right.
Now, otherwise, what we're doing is we're building. Okay, right here we need a bridge. Build one bridge. Okay, right here we need a ladder. Build one ladder. Instead, we say build a bunch of pieces that are made of wood, and then make a bridge out of them.
Build yeah. Build it in the game maker instead of asset per asset.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least partially. I mean,
yeah,
there is a balance here.
Sure.
It's
yeah,
always some pre-assemblies makes totally sense. As I said, these stacks of the scaffolding set, they are already pre-assembled, and some are just beams. So you have the flexibility of still being fast and not need to throw together all the pieces bit by bit. So it's always towards usability and modularity of a set. This is the ultimate goal of a set, to be as flexible but still as fast as possible.
Right. This is insane though. I like when I start looking deeper and deeper into it, it's like okay, I see where things are kind of getting modge podge together, if you will. And it does it creates that it creates that immersive experience that everyone's looking for instead of just feeling like, oh, I just played this other game and it looked just like that, and now I'm playing this game and it's the same thing. Where this allows you to really morph it into your vision of what the game is and not be stuck in that grid like you were saying.
it unlocks Game Maker to a new potential.
Yeah,
You know,
100%.
and my hope is that by people even just seeing what's possible, like in this example, that something will click. You know, and that click might drive them to experiment and say, hell, what happens if I grab like these 250 pieces and just rotate all of them randomly? Like now what happens? And then all of these possibilities exist. So
Yeah.
there's no wrong way to really do this, which is the approach that we take. Like hey, let's just see how far we can go before it breaks. And we've been able to get it this far uh, without breaking anything so far.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, but it's a good point, Chris. I mean, breaking we it's not always us, but the game maker and Vox said it. You can break a lot of stuff, or it kind
True.
of make them unusable, sadly. So, but it's always already also is super important when you create these sets and especially with high. I mean, we have the high resolution texture that we covered earlier, but then again, we still always work towards with our team to super optimized, poly reduced. I mean, always take out the max or bring out the max out of what is there with as less resources we can barely go with.
Hmm.
And we have different tools, as you did see, to achieve that. But it's super important that these sets are really not kind of dampering the performance and stuff. And especially now we see a lot of technical restrictions still. Some stuff gets unlocked, other things are still kind of yeah, it's super important to have optimized assets on top of just looking fancy, you know.
Right, right. It needs to be functional as well as beautiful.
It's surprising what you can do with a rectangle. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, yeah.
Is before we
go back.
move on,
Yeah.
is are these kits then, are those things that you guys have been working on and will be releasing in the future, or what is your thought process around that?
Uh, I don't want to go into depth here because
Sure.
it's just all in the works,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
has, I mean, for us, the vision here is, and I just can tease it probably here, it has to do something with your name, mate. And this is where we want to go with all that. So
Gotcha.
crafting.
I love
Let's
crafting.
just throw that in for now, I would say.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, it's a huge project that we're running
Cool,
in the
cool.
background right
Well,
now.
I can't I can't wait to experience the crafting because that's what I'm all about.
It kind of comes down to all of these tools that we've discussed, putting that into a bigger picture, and you know, making something more like this available instead of saying here's a piece of wood.
Uh-huh.
You know, so more like, I want, maybe you want to build a dungeon, right? Well, what if you just get all the parts and all the animations and all the textures and everything, and now you're good to go. So our intention is to sort of be a one-stop shop for this type of thing.
I love that intention, and I would love to experience it. So, if you ever need any test subjects, I would love to help craft.
Awesome.
Great, yeah. We we brought this up a few times. Our community, we've been dormant for a while, but we saw an opportunity. So Pepe really has done an amazing job configuring a Discord server for us, um, and having timed this properly. Basically, one of our original members is the dude that oversees the creator fund for the sandbox,
Gotcha.
and conveniently, as the creator fund was closing down, everybody happened to get an invitation to come and join the Sandrush server. So this scoops in like we basically kind of adopted the creator fund, and we didn't really actually honestly expect this to happen. So like, it was like overnight. Now we have a Discord with 200 people in it,
Uh-huh.
and and so we I admit that we're a little ill prepared, but every day we learn more about the community, and we learn more about trying to keep people engaged, and what can we do to leverage this in a good way where the entire community can benefit from this. You know, prior to this, maybe we struggled to find an artist that can do a particular task. Now we have all these resources
Right.
available, and instead of using them just for ourselves, we want to unlock the community to be able to, go through these processes, upgrade their builds, take things to the level two. Instead of, they finish their training with Creator Fund, let's go to SandRush, and we're going to take it to the next level. So as our tools are more complete and things like this, we'll slowly be able to release them to people and give everybody the opportunity to level up, really. And my motto here is stop building in hard mode.
I love that motto, by the way. I don't know where I saw it before, but yeah, seriously, I'm sick of building in hard mode. I'm ready to level up to easy mode.
There's another way, right?
Yes.
So one of the cool things that we've discovered in the theatrish community is just the people are incredible. That you never know who is gonna show up. And the main thing that we always try to remember is there's a face behind the screen name. There's a human.
There's always someone behind the avatar.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So this person has their own goals and they have their own initiatives and they but what if what happens when we take 200 super smart creative people and put them in the same room together and just let them do what they want? We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I imagine that something creative and smart happens.
I would bet on that one for sure.
Hopefully, at least, right?
I mean, there might be some other interesting things that come out of it as well, but there's also probably going to be a lot of really good, innovative stuff that comes from it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we're just starting out. I mean, you joined us as well. Super awesome to have you with us. And awesome to be finally here in your Discord as well. That's cool. I need to snoop around.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you did see it already a bit, and I hope we can bring this to the community. For us, I mean, we work in a kind of in an intersection here, in a way or another, in my opinion, because we, as studio, of course, we build experience for clients, but what we all did show in the previous slides is that we kind of also always did build for the builders, for the creators, and for the artists out there, and to get them in one place, at least for now, is super inspiring also for us in the end. So it's a back and forth, and we would love to also have fun and not just really focus on hard mode, as Chris said. So we embrace also a lot of, or we have prepared and already started with a lot of design contests, mainly AI art contests to get us started, rolling out slowly into voxel edit, kind of more the classic type of contest that we see out there in the community, in the QHS community. But even for that, we have some pretty cool ideas where we want to foster kind of community projects. So we have prepared a lot of stuff towards that. And then it's a great tool to support everybody and to kind of get feedback, also have some fun. As I said, we have mini games on activities, happy hours where we play some stuff together, test some stuff, and kind of a channel where we can slowly roll out these tools and get early adopters in and teach them how to use them and improve their skills. Yeah. So we would really love to invite every viewer and visitor that peeks into this podcast today or later Just scan the QR code and yeah, join us. You're
Heck
most
yeah, yeah. Scan
welcome.
that barcode and get in there. And I'm after the show, I'm definitely gonna need to go move your guys' Discord up. I do rearranging of my Discord all all the time as things come onto my radar, and it's like things always just
Me,
consistently just get pushed out, and it's like, but whenever I hear about something that I'm super interested, like what you guys are doing, it always gets moved up into a certain folder. So the one that I actually check every day. So
I
that's
do
where
that
this one will
too.
be ending up. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to be doing in there in the future for sure.
Like a little bit of philosophy behind our community here. Initially, and we've kind of probably led all the viewers to think that this is for voxel artists, but it really, in my heart, um, I grew up during the time when web forums were like super popular. You know, in late '90s, coming into the early 2000s, and there was a community that I was just absolutely in love with called conceptart.org, and I cried when I found out they closed because I had spent hours, and really the community there embraced me even though I was a noob and I wasn't good at anything, but they empowered me, and there was people there that were willing to chat with me even though I'm no one, you know, that it's full of professional artists, but it was also an area where someone as a student can go and get tips and tricks and read about other people's journey and see what other people are doing. And when that went away, what it left the world without a home for budding artists and for people that want to grow and develop. So that now we have like CG Society and things like this, but these are high level. If you know, if I were to post on some of these channels, I'm immediately going to be ignored. You know,
Right.
So that doesn't benefit. And someone that wants to become an artist, it discourages them. So our goal is to overcome that. We want to create a place where people feel like they can go, they can learn, they feel better about themselves, they can post their art, they can get feedback from true, honest people, and they can grow not just as artists but as people. And you know, of course, networking and meeting new people and music and art, and take all of these different concepts and smush them together. And what really made me super excited is when I found out that Discord offers now the opportunity for users to create like a web forum, right? So when you get to our Discord channel, you'll notice there's a section called sketchbooks. And this is an area for people to just go in and post whatever drives them, whatever inspires them. It might be their art, it might be like it might be concept art that they like and that suits their mood. It could be you know, one guy, it could be like their ability to do cable management on a 60-story building as a network technician. You know,
Sure.
this form of creativity is to be able to like, and so it's not locked into just sandbox creators and people that are pushing around voxels. We want to empower people that need a home to become creative. And instead of, you know, aimlessly looking through ArtStation and dreaming about becoming better, we can pull people in and we can hold their hand and we can help them and all improve globally.
Hell yeah. Lift everyone up together.
Yeah, yeah. So we you know we try to really push for a positive community. We don't tolerate malcontent.
Love it.
Ooh, here we go. This is Pepe. Do you want to give the introduction?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, this is something that we just did throw in. I think this is something where we can close the whole presentation here. But it's a product that we are working on right now. It's a first sneak peek for you guys and for you, Crafter. We didn't publish this at all yet, so all fancy and new, shiny.
I was
It's
gonna
not
say it very
complete.
shiny.
It's not complete. It's towards MVP, minimal viable product. but it is working, and we could, I think, Chris, you could fire it up afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Let me give a quick little story on why this exists. We want to build equipment for our avatars, right? Everybody wants to have a cool helmet
Yep.
and armor and like gear. Everybody wants gear. It's awesome. But like if you create a helmet in the sandbox, trying this on is painful. I can't
Yes.
just go in and like pop on my helmet. I gotta set up an experience. I gotta find a way to equip it. There's too many steps. So we our working title on this essentially just it's a dressing room where users can go. Can you still see my screen?
Yep. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a place where users can go and they can experiment with different equipment. So these are just random things that we've pulled from marketplace. But let's say that I want to put on like this really super cool gear from Sissy set at Planet Ref. So I pick my helmet. I can pick my parts, and now I'm instantly able to equip this stuff. Right. So
Sweet.
you now I can say, okay, I'm happy with this, and I can now come in and I can jump around.
And
Yeah,
this is
so
all
the mini scene-
browser based.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This uses the interplanetary file system to grab this equipment, and so we will at some point have a call for people that want to put their stuff on here. We're not selling this equipment, right? We're not looking to profit from this. This is a tool for builders. So if you want to quickly test out your gear, and then you find out, oh, my purple color is off by a shade, right? Well, now you would go back into Vox Edit, you make your changes, you upload it to Marketplace, you go into Game Maker, you do that whole process. Now instead, you make the correction, upload it to Marketplace. Eventually, you'll be able to basically just copy paste the URL of what you want to test into here, and boop, it'll equip it for you.
Nice.
So this is, of course, as Pepe was saying, this is our minimum viable product, which MVP. This isn't even the final version. We're 2 versions ahead of this. This is just my demo version. But you can imagine it's super helpful to be able to come in here and just grab stuff. But the other additional thing that this will do is it will enable people to check out collections. So if I want to check out like this incredible stuff here.
That's sick, by the way.
Right? Yeah, but like trying to do this without this app is, well, frankly, it's a nightmare. But if I can come in here and I can click and gear up, now I can look and I can check my asset. I can see is there any technical issues? Is there going to be any overlap that causes Z fighting? Is there any flashing? Does the animation look good in real time? What can I do to improve it? You can find all of these things out really, really quickly. So ultimately, we can use this to help promote projects. So for example, maybe our friends over at Boxamec decide, hey, we would really like to have our own cool like sci-fi environment, right? Well, once you have the Voxamec equipment equipped, then boom, you are now, if it detects the full set, boom, now you have like a cool sci-fi environment to hop around it.
Sure.
We'll be able to use it to help people promote their work.
That's sweet. And how do the assets end up in there, or will end up in there, I guess I should say?
Probably, we have lots of ways and lots of theories on how to do this, but I think ultimately what we've decided on is the curated set. So maybe a creator will come to us and say, hey, we want our equipment to be part of this experience, and then it'll be part of the experience. But we'll have a separate instance where you can test your own
testing
stuff that isn't made public.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was more so what I was trying to figure out as far as testing
Mhm.
goes. But I see
Yeah.
I see both sides of what you're saying. That makes sense, and I like that.
Yeah, and there'll probably be some other cool things, of course, that we think of to add in here. For example, but right now I still can't test a sword.
Gotcha.
Um, but this will eventually be unlocked, and then then if I can test a sword, it'd be cool if I had a little enemy I could test
Something
against,
to
right?
fight
So
against or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, we'll
A
give me a
dummy.
punching bag or something. Yeah, yeah.
Mm. But it's really about kind of back again to the idea of enabling or empowering the creators because they get a showcase or kind of even a portfolio. For example, the Voxamac guys, they did an amazing job here with the gear. We all agree here. It's just stunning.
It is.
And present these in a meaningful way and also web-based. We think this is super helpful for all project owners, and really push this out and even have some custom environment, for example, as Chris said. Or yeah, we have quite a few ideas here, but this is just the beginning, as always. And yeah, we are super happy to
Yeah.
release this very soon already to the
Seriously,
community.
this is going to be a game changer. Like you're saying that it'll be there's so many different use cases for it, but thinking from like a project standpoint or a creator standpoint, it'll be so much easier to share your work and what you've created and allow people to test it out and see how it would work without having maybe any exposure to the sandbox. But then once they do that, maybe then they'll they'll get the hint that they should go actually download the software and get everything set up. But they don't have to do that right away. They can just open a web browser and check it out. And I could see this luring in quite a few people to try out the sandbox that maybe have never used it before.
We would like to enable people to create an outfit, right? And then generate a link so that it links right back to the sandbox so the user can just go there, everything's in place, they can click to purchase.
Yes.
Yeah. But we don't sell anything, as Chris said. It's
Yeah.
just a tool to present, to promote, to enable these amazing sets. Because frankly, we as Sandwich, I mean, we have sets, but not published. It's even not our realm at all, kind of. But we always think in this way. We want to empower others, not only us, and this is where this product came in, just out of again a need or more of a desire in this case, because we as Android right now don't need it. We don't need to promote sets right now, at least the gear and stuff. But it's yeah, it's out there for you guys, and this is our intention as always.
100%. Touche. I just saw in the comments says that TSP would benefit from this so much to be able to test equipment in the marketplace. They should pay you guys to implement it. And I agree. If you're watching anyone from the sandbox, I think these guys are onto something. If you don't already know about it, you know now, and you should you should be hiring them onto the team to implement some dope stuff for us to use.
Well, hopefully they'll take your good advice.
Yeah. I don't know how much they listen to old Crafter, but maybe one of these days we'll get on their radar.
Cool. So as you can imagine, like all of our other projects, well, this will continue to evolve.
Yeah.
But to respond directly to Touche, yeah, this is really our intention. Is I was an asset checker. I was a leader of Cell 8. I was the founder of Cell 8 when it first opened, and Pepe and I came from Cell 2. And testing these types of things, opening every single file, and then saying, oh, this one voxel is now causing Z fighting, and then having to send it back to the artist. And now the artist can just load it up in here, and they don't have to go through all the drama. But also testing larger projects. If you've got 300 different characters and assets, you can load them all in here and test them effectively.
Seriously, that's
Yeah,
gonna
and I
cut
think
down on a
yeah,
lot.
this even can already lead to an open call, for example, for you to say, yeah, reach out to us. We're super happy to have your studio skiers featured already in early stage. If you're looking forward
Yeah,
to something like that,
we'd be happy
yeah,
to show you our other tools and see what we can do to help you. To whatever we can do to help empower you. This is what we're. This is really where our soul is. We all came into this like, hey, let's be creators, but maybe we could be more than that, and we can be creators and help other people realize their dream and come to terms with their vision, and unlock new things that they didn't think were possible prior to this.
Creators and empowerers. I don't know if
Yes.
that. I don't know if that quite rolls off the tongue, but yes, I love that about you guys, and I think you guys are doing awesome work, and all the support you're adding and building for everyone else is amazing. What's this last slide, or is this the last one?
This is the last one. This might be where you stop building in hard mode.
Ah,
But we're like, let's just put this last slide in there, and then if we're chatting, our QR code is here. So it's still available for people that want to hit us up on Discord. But I will make another comment about the SandRush Discord. It's not officially, like, we haven't advertised this at all. We had the privilege of getting access to the Creator Fund thanks to our friends and our position in the industry, but this isn't something that we've posted on Twitter. This isn't something that we've told a bunch of people about. We aren't interested in 10,000 followers or whatever. That's not our goal. It's more important to us to have quality. So
right.
what we're planning to do, eventually we'll have to open it up to everybody because word will spread anyway. So we want to, when that happens, we want to be the ones behind it to some extent. So we're right now in the initial phase, and if anybody joining our Discord up until this point, they're going to receive a special role called the Founders Cut.
Nice.
And this role is only available to the people that have joined us and come in early on. What are the long-term benefits of this? We don't know yet, but we do know that we would like to reward people that hung around with us since the beginning. So the Founders Cut will end once we start doing some sort of public advertising of some sort. Right now, our idea is kind of like, hey, this is our friends and family that we want to invite, and our community and our artists, and people that we can really embrace, and that are joining for meaningful purposes, not just because someone invited them. So
Right.
all of these fine folks will get Founders Cut role, and that allows us to communicate with everybody in a direct way. I will also mention SandRush. We have our own cryptocurrency called Rush. Rush does not can have value, except doesn't have value outside of our community. But our contest, we reward people with Rush, and this gives you access to new roles and things like that. But we're not interested in people coming in and begging for a penny or two for airdrops and stuff. This isn't the route we want to go. We want to use this as a reward system for our community members. And then in the future, for example, maybe folks that are Rush holders now can unlock access to specific types of collections, right? So you hung around with us since the beginning. You've gathered this much Rush because you're a good participant and you're an active in our community. So you've collected a bunch of this meaningless token, but now you can exchange this for a dungeon collection.
Not so meaningless now.
Yeah. So we have other ideas and things like that we eventually will unlock, but we're also super open to new ideas. This technology isn't new to just us; it's kind of new to the world.
Right.
I mean, crypto's been around for like decades, but the idea of using this in this manner um, allows new things to happen that haven't been thought of yet. So we want to explore, and we've been fortunate enough to get some some really good prominent players in this market, in this industry, to come and join us, and really have been supportive, and even in some cases written like some custom scripts and some cool tools for us. It's so we have been getting, in my opinion, like some really good positive feedback, and that makes me think we're doing something good and noble, and it really makes all the hard work worth it.
Hell yeah! I just want to reiterate on that sentiment that you guys are doing a lot of amazing work, and I'm glad that it's starting to pay off and reflect that, because I know you guys have been working on this for a long time, and not that having a Discord open or anything is it was the ultimate goal, but it's awesome to start building a strong community around what you guys have really putting in a lot of effort for. And I think that the way you're rolling out the Discord is going to benefit you guys long term, because that's the best way to build a community, is build it with people that are actually excited to be a part of it, and not just there for, like you said, to get a couple pennies from some meme coin or whatever. So yeah, anyone that's watching this live or catching the replay, obviously hop in that Discord and see what's going on, because who knows what they'll be up to in the next couple of weeks or months or whenever you're seeing this. So you might miss the founder cut if you're catching this way late, but still get in there, because it's gonna be a good one that you're gonna want to be a part of. And like you said earlier in the show, it's not just for people that are building in the sandbox or voxel. I think you said voxel pushers. Everyone
Yeah,
is welcome, and it will turn into a great community for anyone that's even slightly interested in being some sort of creative. I imagine.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's even super inspiring for us, even with a handful of people just in, and there are, yeah, there are so many different type of interests and where and from what corner of the space they come. And for example, I just received a DM or a feedback from one of the guys that is fully crypto kind of. He's coming from this corner. He has nothing to do with Sandbox. Came in and now started to, because we have AI generated art contest running right now. He first time even dabbled into a sort of art or doing kind of artsy stuff, here
Mm-hmm.
with us. And that's so inspiring and so cool. And he's super excited to dive into new spaces and ideas. And I think this is all about that. We really want to enable in a way or another in multiple levels. And we won't forget our roots, of course, but we are super open here, I would say. Yeah.
I love that.
If you do happen to stumble into our Discord, I would invite you to go to the section, introduce yourself. We'd love to hear from you. We want to hear about your projects. We want to know what your goals are. We want to know what we can do to help. These are the types of things this is why we're here. But additionally, check out the sketchbook threads. Look at what people are building. Take a look, and maybe you could draw inspiration, or maybe this gives you ideas you haven't thought before. So we really want to embrace this idea that without artists and creative people, just imagine how boring everything is. So we really need to like have the ability to express ourselves in any way without any judgment, and this is what we want. This is what we're here for. We want you in there. We'd love to have you. Even if you say, hey, I've I've never drawn a picture before in my life. But maybe I want to learn. Well, we want to go on this journey with you. We can got enough people here where we can give you pointers. We can show you what to do, or give you tutorials, or point you, give you information from our previous experiences. This is silly for us to hold this information to ourselves, because well, mainly we're not going to be here forever, and if we can spread this love for creativity and art and music and all of these different things, it is really empowering for everybody involved, and it gives people a home.
100%. A home is all that some people are looking for, and creativeness comes in so many different forms. Even if you don't think you are creative, you'd be surprised what maybe inspiration would be sparked just being around other people that are creative and figuring out different ways to do different things. So it sounds like this Discord is going to turn into something amazing that I'm sure all kinds of different creative ideas and inspiring stories will come from, and who knows, maybe we'll find some future guests for the show on there. So
Right? Yeah,
hell yeah,
absolutely.
hell yeah. If you guys want, what time is it? I have a little bit more time. I have like 10 minutes that I can keep going. If we do have any questions, I don't know if or if I'm going to keep you guys too long, but if there's any questions in the chat, feel free to drop those in. I did see Touche was saying also saying GameMaker and Vox said it would benefit so much from being open source, especially with people like you guys working on tools like this. If the platform was available to work on it, it would make leaps and bounds overnight. And I agree. I think having something like Vox Edit and GameMaker open source would benefit drastically from it, just from because there's so many people like yourselves and plenty of other builders out there that have all kinds of amazing ideas of how they could make the product better, or just add one little tweak that would catapult things forward exponentially. And I mean, it just makes sense that would help. I wonder what your guys' sentiment would be on that. I would imagine similar.
We spent a lot of time reverse engineering.
Yeah.
This in a way it's sort of necessary for our goals, and we have noble intentions. We're not out here trying to break stuff and ruin everybody's day. And there are a lot of people out there that are willing to do this. But our route again is to play a supportive role. If the system was open source, there are certain aspects of it I think that they would struggle to maintain properly. And so I agree. If this information was available for everybody to go in and create these tools and things like that, imagine what could happen. So we sort of take this stance, but more from the builder's perspective. Like, imagine what could happen if we enable everybody with like all this cool stuff. Like, now what can happen? We don't know yet.
Right.
But we can postulate that it's going to be pretty freaking cool.
I can only imagine it'll be freaking cool.
Yeah, so, and I mean, we are in close contact with both developer teams, VoxEdit and GameMaker teams, and also with TSP itself. So there is things in the work, but still it is. I think it's also tricky on their side, as Chris said. Not everything is up and ready. We have on the background there is the layer of the blockchain that you need to embrace. It's really so many things that need to work together, and sometimes, as we know, get broken for days and then need to be fixed and patched. I think that it's a thin line to walk, and they for sure can't open up just everything and think this will work. But then again, yeah, we would love to get more direct access APIs or whatever solution gateways over time to implement all the stuff that we discussed and introduced today. Yeah, it's of course it's where we think the platform should move towards.
Right. And who knows, maybe they are taking steps towards that, or maybe you guys know and you can't tell us yet. But I think I think either way, the work that you guys are doing and the development that you guys, or the innovation, I think is what the word I was looking for. The innovation that you guys are doing is amazing, and it's going to push the space forward one way or another. Um, with or without that open sourceness. So it's super exciting to see where things go from here. And I just want to say before we shut everything down, thank you guys so much for coming on again. It's always fun getting to hear from what you guys have been up to, and just chatting. And if you guys haven't already, this is your last call before it goes away. Make sure you scan that QR code and get in that Discord, because there's going to be all kinds of awesome stuff to come from this in the future. So you're not going to want to miss it. Get on in there.
Thanks very much for having us. We knew in advance we were gonna have a great chat with you, and it's always a pleasure. And we'll be looking forward to seeing everybody around. Don't be a stranger. We want conversations. This is really what helps drive things forward. If everybody's just sitting around all quiet, then if we don't know what people's needs are, then we can't develop tools properly. So we want to hear all your gripes. We want to hear the things that you think could be improved on. We want to know everything we can, so we can stuff this into our knowledge base. And if we need to share information, we share information. If we find a little hole that we could fill, then this is what we want to do. And then eventually, when we're all filling these little teeny holes, we'll have something big. And we don't know the potential, which makes it even more exciting. So, and thank you everybody for coming and hanging out with us. The little extensive. We're in 2 hours, so if you've made it through the whole stream, I really do appreciate you sitting through and listening to us kind of go on about these technologies. And we hope to be doing it again in the future. And come hang out with us in Discord so we can empower you.
Hell yeah! Stop building in hard mode. Exactly. Well, if Pepe, if you don't have any last words, or if you do, now would be the time to say them. Otherwise,
yeah, it's perfect. I mean, hard mode is the building part, and then how we always tell our users and community, adventure awaits. So yeah. It's really a journey, and we would love to do it together and walk and drive and even be as fast as light speed sometimes, hopefully with you guys, with all you guys.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, thank you guys again so much for coming on. Thank you guys in the chat for tuning in, chiming in, letting us know your thoughts. Thank you if you are catching the replay, making it all the way through this. I know it was a lot, but it was a lot of really awesome, good information, and these guys are doing some amazing stuff. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and share it with a friend if you think that they would benefit from this as well. Thank you guys again so much. I just keep saying thank you and over again. That's usually how I end the show. The drawn out goodbye. But I love you guys, and I will catch you guys on the next one.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks again for having us, and appreciate y'all. Have a good afternoon, or a good evening, or a good morning.
Absolutely. Peace, guys.